The mind, if rightly forged, is a fortress. Imagine a soul immune to offense, unshaken by the petty bites of the mediocre. A soul that sees an insult not as a wound, but as a whimper, the final breath of those too weak to create. Why should one stoop to react when the world is full of barking dogs mistaking noise for power? The insult is never about you. It is a confession, a scream from a soul in chains. And you who aspire to rise, must not take confessions personally. You must see the gesture for what it is: survival. No different from the snake that strikes when afraid. Would you hate the serpent for its nature, or simply step aside and smile? And what of offense? It is not a sword, but a shadow. Only those with trembling egos flinch at silhouettes. True strength lies not in the rebuttal, but in silence, a silence so deep, it devours the insult itself. You do not react because you are above, not higher in pride, but deeper in being. You are rooted where their words cannot. Reach. Let them scream, let them mock. It is all theater, and you? You are not part of the play. You sit among the audience of gods, laughing not at them, but at the tragic comedy of their emptiness. They seek to stir the storm in you, but find only stillness. To be insulted is a choice, would one only the unawakened make. The awakened sees through the veil that every outburst, every slight, is a mirror, not a blade. It reflects the soul of the speaker, not the target. To respond is to accept their invitation to dance in the mud. But you, child of will, seeker of ascent, must walk past the mud without a glance. What is gained by wrestling pigs? Only filth. Let them flail. Let them drown in their own noise. You, instead, must hold to clarity like a sword, sharp, calm, unmoved. The one who sees through the nature of provocation becomes untouchable. Untouchability is not arrogance. It is clarity. It is the fierce humility of one who sees and refuses to descend. Power is not in domination of others, but in the refusal to be dominated by reaction. He who reacts has already surrendered, but he who observes, silently, ruthlessly, rules himself. The world will try to provoke you 1,000 times before noon. It will offer bait laced with venom, distractions, dramas, praise, threats. These are not tests. They are invitations to mediocrity. Decline them all. Decline them with a smile born of contempt, not for the world, but for the part of yourself that still longs to dance with. Shadows. That part must be burned. That part must kneel before your will and die. And when it dies, you will hear silence. Not the absence of noise, but the absence of pull. And in that stillness, the first breath of your power will begin. The soul that has tasted self-mastery no longer seeks revenge. Why would the eagle descend to peck at worms? Offense is the sport of the wounded, a game played by those who mistake pride for purpose. But the one who sees through it all, who sees even the offender as a tragic character, acting out ancient scripts of pain, that one has no interest in reacting. He smiles not from weakness, but from terrifying strength. He is untouchable, not because he defends himself, but because he no longer believes there is anything to defend. He has become the storm that watches. He no longer breaks. He bends space around himself. And in his presence, the attackers falter, for they see in him a mirror, too clear, too brutal. It shows them what they are, and what they are not. Do you think the world wants you free? It does not. It wants your attention, your anger, your addiction to validation, and so it insults you, lures you, flatters you, distracts you. The insult is not a dagger, it is a rope, and if you grasp it, you are pulled back into the pit. The wise do not cut the rope, they never touch it. They do not preach, do not justify, they simply do not respond. The world feeds on your energy, so starve it. Let it grow desperate, trying to provoke. You let it rage against your silence. That silence is not emptiness, it is defiance. It is the roar of one who has killed the need to react, and once that need is dead, you are born. Born not to float above the world, but to walk through it like fire, illuminating, consuming, but never burned. What is procrastination if not the victory of weakness over will? A subtle defeat, daily rehearsed. You do not delay because of time. You delay because you've submitted to a lesser voice within. The voice that whispers comfort, sleep, escape. That voice is not yours. It is the echo of every mediocre soul who feared the mountain. Kill it every morning. Do not negotiate, do not reason. It does not respond to logic. It only recoils before force. And that force must come from within, from your will to power, not to dominate others, but to conquer yourself. Each time you obey the weaker voice, you forge chains. Each time you defy it, you grow wings, and only those with wings can rise. You speak of freedom, but you cannot be free if your attention is enslaved. The world's greatest weapon is not violence, but seduction. Seduction of your focus, your energy, your soul. It does not bind your hands, it invades your thoughts. A scroll here, a ping there, a petty conflict that pulls your gaze away from the abyss you were born to face. And so you become trivial, not by action, but by inaction, not by hatred, but by distraction. To escape this fate, you must become violent with yourself, not cruel but exact. You must starve every thought that does not serve your ascent. You must silence every voice that does not scream, rise. Then, and only then, does your freedom begin, not as a gift, but as a conquest. There is a point where the insult no longer insults, it amuses, not because you have become cold, but because you have become deep. The shallow drown in every wave, the deep remain unmoved. To be unoffendable is not to be dead inside, it is to be more alive than ever, so alive that petty words cannot reach your core. Imagine a man walking through a market where children throw pebbles. Would he stop and scold them, or would he smile and keep walking, knowing they are not his equals, not his concern? This is the attitude of the higher soul, not avoidance, not superiority, but detachment born of clarity. To see the insult as a symptom of pain, of confusion, of irrelevance, and to walk on. Insults only matter when you need to prove who you are. But once you have become, truly become, there is nothing to prove. You are, and that being is your defense. The lion does not explain its roar. The sun does not justify its light. The mountain does not argue with the wind. Why then should you explain yourself to shadows? Let the world misunderstand you. Let them mock your silence. It is better to be hated for your strength than loved for your conformity. Because the moment you begin to bend for love, you begin to break for approval. And what is left then a puppet, a shell, a reflection of other people's fears. No, stand like the one who knows. Their insults are not daggers but dust, and dust cannot harm a giant. Those who seek your reaction do not seek justice, they seek validation. Their insults are not weapons but performances. They strike not to hurt but to see if you bleed. And when you don't, when you stand there unmoved, they feel it, their own weakness reflected back with unbearable clarity. The silence you give them is Not absence, it is exposure. It reveals them. It turns their spectacle into a confession. You become the mirror, and they the spectacle. Do not steal this from them with rebuttals. Let them fall before the reflection. Let them drown in the echo of their own noise. The greatest humiliation is to be ignored by the one you tried to diminish. Even worse are those who laugh, not from joy, but from hunger. Hunger for chaos. They are spectators of ruin, vultures of human failure. They smile when anger. Flares when confusion spreads, when someone breaks. And if you respond, you feed them. You give them blood to sip. But when you do not, when you stare through them as if they are ghosts, they starve. And in starvation, they wither. Do not be their banquet. Do not be their clown. Do not feed the parasites of attention. Your calm is not weakness. It is poison to their hunger. Each breath you take in silence while they scream is a nail in the coffin of their relevance. They do not fear your wrath. They fear your indifference. There is a venom more dangerous than poison. It is the subtle drip of distraction, the slow erosion of your purpose through petty conflict and hollow craving. Every time you lower yourself to argue with fools, to defend against shadows, to explain your fire to the blind, you lose, not because they win, but because you abandon your throne, the throne of silence, the throne of focus, the throne of direction. Ask yourself, how much of your greatness have you wasted trying to prove you possess it? Let this be the end. Let your silence be your sword. Let your calm be your crown. When they come with noise, return with nothing. That nothing will echo louder than any scream. The insult that shakes you is not the insult that harms. It is the insult you believe. What lives in you that hears the lie and calls it true? That is your enemy. Not the one who speaks, but the one inside who listens with doubt. That voice, the echo of insecurity, must be crucified, hung in the daylight of your self-awareness until it dies without a whisper. Then you will see. It was never the words of others that wounded you, but your own hunger for affirmation. Starve that hunger. Let it perish in the cold. And in its place, let rise a fiercer voice, one that does not need applause, does not bend to insult, does not flinch before rejection. This is not arrogance. This is sovereignty. Insults are not acts of war. They are cries for help, dressed in mockery. They are the language of the unformed, the sound of souls trying to summon a reaction because they cannot summon meaning. When you react, you affirm them. When you ignore, you unmask them. They become naked in their emptiness. Do not pity them. Do not hate them. See them. See their smallness and walk. Your power lies not in your ability to crush, but in your refusal to descend. The lion does not chase every hyena. The eagle does not answer the crows. And you are no longer a man among men. You are becoming spirit. You are becoming direction. And what is that direction? It is the will to power, not over others, but over self. The true battlefield is within, to conquer your reactions, your impulses, your distractions. That is the only war worth fighting. The insult is not your opponent. The urge to react is. Do not waste your blade on shadows. Aim it inward, toward the chaos that still wants to be liked, still wants to belong, still wants to win the argument. That is the voice of the herd. Kill it. Kill it with solitude, with silence, with daily rituals of ascension. You do not need applause. You need clarity. You need command. You need the inner empire, where your will is law and your focus is unbreakable. The pursuit of happiness is a lie told to tame you. Happiness is not a destination. It is a byproduct of power. Those who chase it become jesters, dancing for crumbs, smiling to avoid their own emptiness. But the one who seeks mastery, the one who sharpens his soul, against stone, who bleeds for his becoming, he finds happiness in moments not because he pursued them, but because he surpassed himself. Nietzsche did not preach comfort, he preached ascent. Daily, relentless ascent. The joy of struggle, the ecstasy of effort. So do not chase pleasure, chase your edge, stand at the border of your limits and press forward. There, and only there, you will feel the laughter of gods within you. Your will to power begins the moment you reject false dreams. The fantasies of pleasure, ease, and applause must be set on fire. They are not yours, they were sold to you, burn them. Burn the dreams that do not awaken your soul. Then look within the ashes. What remains? That is you, that silent shape, that stubborn force, your essence waiting to rise. No longer chained to illusions, no longer drugged by the world's noise. Now the path appears, harsh, steep, but clear. And on that path, you are alone. Not lonely, alone, because the mountain does not carry crowds. It demands solitude. Solitude is not a curse, it is the crucible of greatness. To walk the path of power is to become intimate with loss. Not loss of possessions, but of illusions. You will lose friends who preferred your weakness. You will lose comfort that fed your stagnation. You will lose identities that once gave you warmth, but now burn your skin. Let it all go. There is no becoming without shedding. The snake does not mourn its old skin. It leaves it behind, silent, graceful. Necessary. You too must molt. Your past will scream, it will beg to return, it will offer memories and nostalgia as bait. Do not eat. Fast from the old self. Let it starve in the shadows of who you once were. Power is not addition, it is subtraction. And from this subtraction rises clarity. You see what matters, you see what distracts, and most importantly, you see who you must become, the man you were born to be. Not the man the world designed, but the one forged by fire, silence, discipline. He walks not with pride, but with precision. His footsteps are measured, his words are rare, his presence is sharp. He offends without speaking because he is proof that excuses are lies, that pain is fuel, that silence is stronger than scream. This man, the one becoming, is not celebrated. He is feared, he is avoided, because he holds a mirror, and in that mirror others see their own cowardice. Let them turn away. You keep walking. To love fate, Amor Fati, is not resignation. It is rebellion against weakness. It is not passive acceptance of suffering, but the bold embrace of it. To say yes not only to triumph, but to tragedy, not only to joy, but to despair. Because in every thorn there is a lesson, in every fall a revelation. The weak pray for comfort, the strong pray for storms. Storms that reveal what still must die within. You must stop asking why it is hard. It is hard because you are still soft. The path does not change, you do. And the more you change, the more you realize this path is not punishment, it is purification. It burns away the lie, until only the necessary remains. Most reject fate because they believe they deserve better. But what if fate was not your enemy? What if every obstacle was a mirror showing you what you must become? Then you would love fate, not for its kindness, but for its cruelty. You would kneel before it not in surrender, but in reverence. To love fate is to stop wishing for a different life and to start becoming the one Who can endure this one? Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the sculptor, and those who run from it remain formless. But those who stand, those who bleed and do not break, they are carved into gods. This is Amor Fati, the fierce joy in every blow, the silent nod at every loss, the grin in the face of fire. Do not mistake comfort for love. The world will coddle you into ruin. It will whisper affirmations while sharpening the knife behind your back. True love is brutal. It demands your rise. And fate, if loved rightly, becomes your fiercest teacher. It places failure in your path not to punish, but to provoke growth. It blinds you not to humiliate, but to teach you to see with the inner eye. Every betrayal, every collapse, every closed door is a question. Will you break, or will you become? The herd curses misfortune. But the rare few, the ones who become something beyond human, they bless it. They kneel before the storm and whisper, more. To walk with fate as ally is to transcend. The need for fairness. The universe owes you nothing. Your pain is not unique. Your story is not special. And yet, you have the chance to make it legendary. Not through ease, but through endurance. Not through applause, but through becoming undeniable. Those who cry, "Why me?" are still asleep. Those who rise and say, "Why not me?" are awakening. Amor Fati is not softness. It is savage. It is a warrior's creed. It is the daily declaration that you will not retreat, that you will meet each. Hardship as a sharpening stone, that you will not ask for the storm to pass, but to be made stronger by it. That is the love of fate. Have you heard of the 3 metamorphoses? The spirit becomes a camel, then a lion, and finally, a child. The camel carries burdens. It accepts the world's weight, obeys its rules, and bows beneath "thou shalt." This is where most remain, loyal beasts of burden, proud of their chains, mistaking servitude for virtue. But the one who begins to awaken feels rage. The lion roars. He says no to old gods, to lies called truth, to morals crafted by the fearful. He breaks, he fights, he defines himself through resistance, yet even this is not enough. The lion still fights shadows. He still dances with the past. To be truly free, one must go further. The child is the final metamorphosis, not naive but reborn, not weak but pure. The child says, yes, not to everything but to becoming. He creates new values. He plays but with fire. He dances but with discipline. He walks alone not out of pain but joy. The child does not carry, he constructs. He does not fight, he forms. This state is rare. Few reach it, fewer remain, because it requires shedding everything, your name, your history, your masks. You must die while still breathing. You must forget the world to remember yourself. And once you do, the world will not understand you. Let it not. The child is not here to be understood. He is here to begin again. Becoming the child is not regression. It is transcendence. To create, you must first destroy. To play, you must first bleed. This is why the final metamorphosis is the hardest. It demands not rebellion, but renewal. Not rage, but resurrection. The world teaches you to wear masks. The child rips them off and forgets they ever existed. The world tells you to belong. The child walks away and builds his own realm. And in that solitude, something miraculous happens. Peace. Not the peace of escape, but the peace of arrival. You are no longer searching. You are shaping. You are no longer fighting, and you are forming the future in your image. But beware, the child must not sleep, for the world will return, clawing, whispering, begging you to come back to the noise, to explain, to justify, to conform. And if you are not vigilant, you will regress. You will become lion again, or worse, camel. That is the great tragedy, not to fall, but to forget who you became. So you must remain sharp. Read, train, question. Everything. Create more than you consume. Sacrifice comfort for clarity. Practice silence as resistance. Let every day be a rite of passage, every action a declaration of sovereignty. Because once you touch the child within, the Creator, you owe it to yourself to protect it with your life. You ask how to see clearly, how to cut through the fog of noise, illusion, distraction. The answer is brutal. You must suffer, consciously. You must confront your weaknesses, not as enemies, but as raw. Material. Every flaw is a doorway, every failure a signal. Use them. The world wants you numb, scrolling, obedient. But your task is to wake up, not once, but every damn day. To rise not because it feels good, but because it must be done. Discipline is not cruelty. It is love in its fiercest form. The kind of love that slaps you awake and says, "Become." The world will not hand you meaning. You must forge it with bleeding hands. And as you walk this path, distractions will hiss. People will. Mark and the old self will beg for resurrection. Let it die. Again and again. Until there is nothing left but movement, intention, fire. Until your life becomes a weapon against mediocrity. Until your breath itself becomes a prayer to power. You will still feel pain, yes, but you will feel it as a sculptor feels his chisel. You will still feel fear, but only as fuel. You will not be unshakable because nothing touches you. You will be unshakable because even when shaken, you do not fall. That is the task, that is the cost, that is the transformation. Prepare yourself. The world will never stop trying to distract you, deceive you, derail you. It will dress weakness as compassion, sloth as self-care, cowardice as kindness. But you must see through it all. You must become the observer, the strategist, the relentless builder of your higher self. Every day, venom will drip from screens, from mouths, from your own mind. If you are not armored with conviction, it will seep in. And once it enters, it will rot you from within. So do not wait for the attack. Fortify before it arrives. Build your mind like a fortress, with values as your walls and silence as your gate. The strongest man is not the one who strikes hardest, but the one who cannot be struck, who anticipates the blow and disarms it with indifference, who walks through insults, chaos, and temptation as if through wind. This is your task now. Not to defend yourself, but to transcend offense altogether. To become not immune, but invulnerable through clarity. And in doing so, you will rise above the games of lesser men. You will no longer play their game. You will become the rule they fear, the standard they cannot touch, the flame that burns quietly and devours all noise. So remember this, the path to your highest self is lined with venom, not always in the form of enemies, but often in the form of comforts. Insults are obvious, seduction is subtle, and it is the subtle poison that destroys. Kingdoms. You must develop the eye that sees beyond, see the mechanism, understand the nature. The more clearly you understand what seeks to weaken you, the more invincible you become. The world attacks, yes, but only where you are soft. So harden. Forge your spirit through pain, through practice, through absolute clarity of direction. Then, before the snake even bites, you will already carry the antidote within. And if this voice has stirred something in you, if it sparked even a flicker of Recognition, then act. Like this message, not for vanity, but to plant a flag of resistance. Subscribe not to a channel, but to a new standard. Comment not just for engagement, but to declare, I will not be moved. You have no obligation to the noise, but you have a duty to the self you are becoming. Let them throw their venom, let them laugh. You are already walking toward the final metamorphosis, and nothing can stop the one who chooses again and again to rise.